Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. Today I'm doing the book adaptation tag, so let's do this. So this tag was created by Bex at Bex Experience, and I will link her below, go check her out. It's basically a tag about book to film adaptations, what you think about them, that kind of thing, and it's a simple case of 5 different questions, so let's get on with it. So question number 1 is, what is your favourite book that has been adapted to a film or a TV series? And mine is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. What else? Do I like the films? Okay, I love the first film. I think the aesthetics and the atmosphere and the characters are perfect in that film. The second film I have problems with because they change Faramir's character by adding that whole scene in where he takes Frodo and Sam to Gondor. I understand why they had to add something in, but I just felt they could have done something else apart from that because it really ruined Faramir's character for me. The third film is probably the film I have the most issues with, mainly because of the ending. The coronation scene and the scene in which Frodo wakes up, hate those scenes. I mean, the Frodo waking up scene is probably the most cringy scene in cinematic history. It's awful, I hate it. And there are 5 million different endings to that film, it's ridiculous. I think they are a great example of cinematic achievement. I mean, who would have thought they'd be able to make these films? The fact that Tolkien sold the rights to these books for pittance because he never thought they would be able to make them says how much of an achievement these films were. They are amazing. But I have problems with them, obviously. They're great films and you should watch them, but you should read the book first because it's amazing. Question number 2 is, have you ever watched a movie or TV adaptation of a book before reading it? And yes, I sadly have done this far too many times. In general, the books that I have not read are ones that I just didn't enjoy reading, like The Hunger Games. I didn't like the books, I didn't like the writing style, I think I've mentioned that before. I saw Divergent recently, the film, and I hadn't really paid much attention to the books, and the film didn't really blow me away, so I don't really know whether I'm actually going to ever read the books. I probably won't. Perks of a Wallflower I didn't read before I saw the film, and I probably won't read the book because I know everyone raves about it, and it was a good film, but I was really depressed at the end of it. It was just too close for me. I don't know what it was, but I just didn't enjoy the watching experience of that film. Game of Thrones I haven't read. I tried to read that book and I don't know what it was. I never got into it, and I do kind of want to read it, but at the same time I absolutely love the TV series, and there are very few TV series on at the moment that I really love, and I just want to enjoy it as a TV series and not have, you know, future episodes spoiled because I've read the book. And maybe that's a weird way of looking at it, but I just really love that show, so that's probably the main one, I guess. Question number 3 is, what is your favourite TV or movie adaptation of a book? And for me that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. The BBC version, not the recent 2005 film. I absolutely hated that adaptation. It was horrible. It was so badly cast. Just everything about that film, apart from Blenda Blethyn, was bad. I didn't enjoy it at all. The BBC version, however, I thought was absolutely perfect. It is almost line for line. It is hilarious. It is perfectly summed up in 5 episodes, 6 episodes, and I watch it all the time and love it every single time, and it always makes me feel all gooey and wonderful inside. So that is the best adaptation I've seen. Part 2 of question 3 is, what is the worst adaptation you've seen? And I'm going to say P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern. I loved this book when I read it. I read it quite a long time ago and absolutely adored it, and it was one of my favourite books when I was younger. The film, it's enjoyable. I don't mind watching it. I do still watch it every now and again. But in terms of actually adapting this book, it's terrible. It's nothing like this book. They change so much and they miss out so much, and I felt they could have done a better job of actually adapting this book. I felt like the film was just inspired by the book rather than adapted from it. I have to view that film separately from the book. I have to think of it as a totally separate film and not an adaptation of this book, because otherwise I get angry face. Question number 4 is name a book you really want to see adapted into a film or TV series, and for me that is S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. I'm currently in the middle of reading this, I haven't even finished it, and I really want them to adapt it. That said, I don't have a clue how they would do it because it's got about 3 different narratives going on. It's like 3 different stories within one story, and it's all very complicated, and there's a lot of it I don't know how they could convey in terms of film, but I just love this book so much, and I just really would love to see it adapted by J.J. Abrams, of course, because it would just be so weird if someone else did it. That said, I don't think they ever will because I don't know how they would do it, but it would be cool to see it. Question number 5 is name a movie that you would want to be turned into a book, and I don't know. I don't know. And I think probably a lot of the reason why I don't know is because, sadly these days, there are hardly any movies that aren't based on books or comic books in the first place, so what the frick do you pick? I mean, I tell you what, there's this film called Before Sunset. It's got Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, and it's the sequel to Before Sunrise and the prequel to Before Midnight. It's directed by Richard Linklater. Go watch it. Go watch the whole trilogy. They're all amazing. I love them. In the second film, Ethan Hawke's character Jesse is a writer, and he is talking about this idea he has for this book I've always wanted to read. ever since I first saw this film, I've always wanted to read this book, and it's not a book. And it's basically, he says it describes it as a book that takes place within one song. And it's basically this guy hearing the song, and it reminds him of different periods of his life where he's heard this song, or just things like that. And I just thought it sounded like a really intriguing idea. And that doesn't really answer this question because it's not a movie itself, it's a book within a movie. But that's about as close as I can get because I can't think of an original movie. But yeah, that book. Whatever that will be called, yeah. So that's it for today's tag. I don't know who's done this tag already, so I'm just going to tag some people, and if you've done it then just ignore this. I'm going to tag Angie at The Pastel Rose and Michael at Bitten by a Radioactive Book, so I will link their channels below, go check them out. But that's it for me today. I will see you again next week for more videos. I hope you have a great weekend, but for now, bye!